this is going to be a fun topic. Perfect effort, work ethic.
Yep.
So I have some questions for you, Noelle. Is work ethic born or learned?
Man, honestly, in some ways, it depends on who you ask, but it can absolutely be learned.
Is there a work ethic DNA strand?
No,
No, not a gene.
there isn't. No,
Well, do you have a good work ethic?
I would say so.
All
It's
the
decent.
time?
No.
No. So how do you? So we agree it's learned.
Yeah.
Which we talking to momentum and motivation. I talked about how I'd been all over the place on the same activity. So obviously it can change. So the question is, and this is something. We'll cut right to the chase. I think work ethic is something that often in high school, but even throughout life, it can be demonized, and it's interesting to think why that is. I would argue that work ethic is probably the number one factor that correlates to success because it goes right along with all the stuff with the EQ we discussed. But often work ethic is sort of, it's kind of like they make A's just because they are boring and do their homework.
Yeah.
Or I could do as well as that guy if all I cared about was doing my job, but I've got a life.
But I've got a life. Yeah. I think this is super influenced by the cultural narrative and social media.
The get rich quick thing?
Well, kind of like the get rich quick thing, but work ethic is synonymous with burning out and selling your soul to corporate.
Yeah.
And a lot of, honestly, a lot of Gen Z and Gen Alpha is exposed to that view of work ethic and how, be careful. You don't want to just sell your life to your work, and it's becoming this more of a move towards let's eat holistic foods and be little fairies.
And here's the thing: the reality is, work ethic is a hard thing to develop. Like I said with EQ, it's a skill. It's like developing mental toughness or grit. It takes time, and somebody that has it has such a unique, rare characteristic in this world. They will be successful at something very quickly if they apply that work ethic they built. But it's also something that provides a good rationalization for people that aren't successful. It's just like, well, I could do that. Yeah. I mean, I would have straight A's if I tried, or if I worked as hard as that guy, I would do well. And it just sort of like allows people for some reason to sort of, when you think about it, it's sort of ridiculous. People say that they're almost proud of the fact that they don't try, I guess, but in reality what they're saying is I don't have the discipline to do it.
Correct.
But it allows people to sort of feel good about not being successful, and allows people to kind of tear down other people and say, well, I'm as smart as him, I just don't try. And it's really a big cop-out.
Totally. Well, a lot of what we're seeing in the culture is this demonization of work ethic synonymous with success, and we still are finding at least there are other ways to be successful. You don't have to work really hard in order to see success, and that's kind of like what you're talking about with the get rich quick kind of a narrative. So the truth is, as we all know, and you can ask any successful person from Kobe Bryant to Taylor Swift to Ellen DeGeneres, like they didn't get somewhere just sitting down talking about it, and they are the greatest of all time for a reason, and it's because of work ethic.
It's also generally the overnight success was not as overnight as people think. They just saw the overnight part. There was about 7 years leading up to that of a lot of pain or trying different things or trying to get better.
I think there's a quote on my vision board from Lionel Messi who says, it looked like an overnight success, but it took me 17 years to be an overnight success.
There's one similar about Steve Jobs and like one of the iPhone or something. Yeah, it's it didn't happen overnight or something like that. But
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's it's demonized. Why do some people have it and why they don't? I think a lot of it does stem from the culture people hang around, or also and what's valued, and it's can people always control their environment growing up or who they're around? No, but at the same time, they also aren't tied to that forever. But I think that's what kind of I also think people generally often will put about as much effort into something as they think they have to, and so
bare minimum.
I don't think there's lazy people out there who are just inherently lazy. I think they either have decided nothing's important, so they're going to just skate by.
Correct.
And if they ever want more in life, they're going to need to put into something. But
And some effort.
what's your best advice to build a better work ethic?
It honestly just starts with setting a goal that you're excited about. And it's kind of like seeing what, for me, it was in high school, and I set out to, I didn't have a typical high school experience. I feel like my high school experience, from what you guys were talking about, was more like it was a college experience, but like the rigorous academic college experience in high school. I was all over the place and stressed out all the time. But it was really like I set a goal to complete this really rigorous high school college prep program, and I just wanted to see if I could do it. And then my work ethic just matched the goal, and I got there, and I hit the goal. And it was like, wow, I can do this. Same thing with the Southwestern Advantage program. I didn't know if I could do it. I had a little bit of a confidence anchor from high school completing that rigorous program, but then I was like, I'm just curious. Let's see if I can do it again with something so out of my comfort zone in terms of I'm talking to a bunch of strangers all the time, and I'm a very shy, academic person. So for me, it was setting that goal and knowing I was excited about hitting that goal, and it was going to be this emotional relief for me that, yes, I do believe that I have a good work ethic. And that's what answered that question. Do I have a good work ethic? Yes.
I think also it's, I see this a little bit myself, but also other people, college students I've worked with, whereas anything you're doing, you should try to do your best at.
Yeah.
It's sort of, if you start picking and choosing what matters to you and what doesn't, it's a slippery slope to hell. I mean, it's because basically, if, like, for example, if you're in college, you'll take some classes that probably aren't going to relate to what you want to do in life, but the bottom line is you're there. That's your job to learn. Somebody's paying for it. You, parents, government, I don't know. But if you're there and that's what you're doing, do well at it. If you're taking up a sport or trying to play a ping pong, try to do well at it. But whatever you're doing, just try to do your best at it, and also learn to not just cut corners because it's convenient.
Yep. Absolutely. So is that kind of what your advice would be if someone's like, well, I don't exactly know what working hard looks like. What to you would you say to somebody who doesn't know what working hard practically looks like?
Well, here's the other thing too, is for my image of work ethic when I was in high school and my image of work ethic once I especially worked with Southwestern, two different things, because I always considered myself a super hard worker, and I probably was, on average or pretty high above average. But at the same time, it's a lot easier to, I sort of defined work ethic as like I show up to things I have to show up to. Like I played sports. Well, if I hadn't showed up to practice, I would have been kicked off the team. So, I had to go to school because once again, my mom worked at the school. Yeah. So these were things that, yes, I did show up, but I kind of had to. Once I started doing things where I had no supervision or no direct supervision, there wasn't an immediate consequence for not doing it. I kind of realized over time I'm a pretty good at rationalizing at times, or I have a bad habit sometimes of just cutting the corner and I learned this from working with Southwestern, but I wanted to get rid of that. I didn't like that quality, and to me, work ethic is sort of somebody that can lock in and on their own self-motivation, basically, complete a task of what they're supposed to do on a given day.
Yeah.
And, it applies to working out, it applies to school, it applies to doing anything entrepreneurial. You have to have a super high work. A lot of people want to go into business for themselves, but they have zero work ethic, and it's not going to work.
That's not going to work.
Because when there's nobody that basically, there's no immediate consequence for not doing the thing, it becomes easy to procrastinate.
Yeah. The accountability with work ethic is something super important. And I love what you said there. It's actually like a differentiator. If you can do the work without the accountability necessarily, you're in a good spot. And that's how and you're also doing your best, right? Whether it's like, I'm looking at the spreadsheet right now and it's super detail oriented, and I have to go in and make sure every line item is correct, and I'm literally doing that due diligence. It's being that detail oriented. It's making sure I'm doing the research beforehand before I implement a strategy. It can look like so many different things, but
Can you study for a test when all your friends aren't or something?
Yeah. I care about the grade I get on this exam, so I'm going to really study this material and know it really well, and critically think through it too.
Or at least do my best and set this time aside. Because generally people with a high work ethic they're not always the smartest. There are some people that maybe could do better than them cutting corners. That's not important. In the long run, the person with a solid work ethic that has some self-discipline, once again has a high EQ and all these things, is going to win over someone
the
with
lazy
a little bit
smart
of
person.
talent.
The lazy smart person is going to lose versus
Yes.
to the person who just has that crazy work ethic. So I love that you said that. And there's also the aspect of work ethic that's mental, physical, and emotional. And we kind of touched on all three of those things as well, to where, you kind of have to be doing the work in all three areas to be doing a good job and really have a solid, perfect effort. You need to be mentally dialed into what you're doing. You need to be physically doing and showing up to what you're doing. And you need to be emotionally regulating. You need to be emotionally dialed into who you're working with, and the conflicts or problems that come up when you're trying to work through something. So there's a couple aspects.
Here's the last thing I'll say on the topic. It may be that maybe in high school at times, or when people are younger, it's easy to demonize or joke about, well, he just does well because he works hard. The older you get in life, that flips. And it almost flips, and it's not just about how people view you will be directly tied to your work ethic, meaning not even if they don't work with you, but even as a spouse. If you want to be someone who can attract a good spouse, it'd basically be someone that can actually set out and do what you said you're going to do and have some self-discipline. If you want to be known as reliable, has someone who has integrity, these are all things people notice as you get older. The person who basically is always cutting corners or always trying to pull something out at the last minute.
Not super attractive.
And they eventually become kind of somebody is sort of like, do I trust that guy? He says,
And they never build anything. You really see, I love what you said there. Like, as you get older, you really see the distinction where the person that definitely cut some corners and, made some, formed some bad habits or habits in the wrong direction really stands out against the person who is disciplined, who has integrity, who has a great work ethic, because their lives have there's different fruit that comes from their lives.
This guy has, he's going to be much happier and much more emotionally stable compared to...
Totally. And no matter what's going on in the culture too, whether social media is going to demonize you working hard for, or you having a dream and or you not being committed to something because of one day you just feel like you have a different passion, that's not going to get you very far. That's going to, I would bet in the next 5 or 10 years, you're going to flip your perspective on that kind of thinking.
Exactly. I think I heard once that if you show up every day to whatever it is you're doing, you'll beat 90% of the people in the world. And if you show up with a good attitude, you'll beat 98%.
Yeah.
I used to think it was a dumb quote, but I 100% believe it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.
One side note, are we then implying that everybody watching this should be eventually be working 168 hours a week and not sleeping and not eating and not doing anything? Because we just had a discussion on balance. And
we had a discussion on balance, on schedule, and making sure to schedule fun time in there too. Just other things that you're going to enjoy, because that thing that's amazing about LEAD is that we're totally against the idea of hustle culture in the way where the culture right now is demonizing it. Where yes, you do need to work hard to get the things you want, but hustle culture into oblivion without a purpose is not anything we're about. You don't just work hard not knowing the direction you're going. That's just stupid. But if you have a vision, if you have something you're passionate about and you have goals that you're excited to work towards and you want to see your own potential, you should put in the appropriate amount of work to hit those goals, to see that potential in yourself. And that's up to you what you decide to do then. And it's really tempting to listen to people who are trying to steer you in another direction, but I honestly think that if you really have your vision and your goals really solid and clear, then this won't be an issue for you. You'll understand what you're here to do.
So you kind of have on one end, you have a sort of a hustle culture of work is all the only thing. And then on the other hand, you have sort of a slacker culture that says that's stupid to do anything that's not overnight success. And just we're saying stay the middle course like most things. And
Kind of. I mean, to me, it starts on an individualistic level. Like, I know why I'm here. I know what I'm doing, and if anybody else is doing other things, it's great for them. But
it's a free country.
It's a free country. You know, we're all out to do what we want to be doing, and that we have the beauty of the freedom to choose that here. And so it's important. That's why we talk about this in LEAD. It's so important that we know our values, we know our purpose, so that we can make the right decisions and listen to the right people along the way.
And I guess I'll wrap it with this. It's, once again, I've met a lot of uber successful people, and two things always stand out to me. Number one, as far as an intelligence or even a charisma standpoint, they never impress me that much as far as like, you're not like, wow, this guy's that's such a genius. Usually I'm a little underwhelmed. The other thing too is I'm sort of, they're not necessarily, doing something extreme, but they're very consistent and diligent when they're actually working. I mean, when they're actually working, they do what they're supposed to do. They don't piddle around.
They're in action.
Yeah, they're in action, and they have a purpose there, and they accomplish it. They're not sitting there checking email or just messing around, and they're very focused on it, and then they get done. And like I said, very little about them will stand out as like super impressive, but they're consistent over time.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to. Man, it's the extraordinary happens in the ordinary.
Good quote.
I love that.